Good day, everyone. Trust we're doing well. So, my name is Kelvin, and I'm going to be taking us for the duration of this program. I'm going to be taking us web development, and this is our first official, class or session or engagement. And in this first class, what I would want to do is to give us a brief overview just before we go into the curriculum or the our course outline properly. I would like to give us an overview of what web development is, what it entails, what we are going to be learning, and how we are going to go about learning what we will learn. So, just to get this whole process started smoothly and efficiently, we are all here because we signed up to learn web development, right? So, what is web development? You might have an idea on it before, but I'm going to be taking this course like I'm speaking to complete beginners because I am going to assume that most of us are complete beginners. So permit me if you're already an expert or an amateur or whatever. I'm going to be starting from the ground up. So what is web development? Breaking that down, web development sounds complex, sounds big, but it's quite simple actually. Web development is basically a subset of software development. And what is software development? Software development typically entails the creation or making or building, whatever word will make you understand it better, of websites, web apps, system applications, mobile applications, and all that. It all falls under the big umbrella called software development. So now under software development, there's a compartment or a section or a branch of it that is called web development. And web development primarily focuses on websites and web applications. So I hope you've understood up until this point. Now, to make us see a clearer picture, when you hear websites, what do you think of? Well, websites are just typically static web pages that we view using web browsers or browsers, depending on how you may know them. And what are browsers? Browsers are applications that their primary focus or function is to help a user like me and you access the internet and view web pages. What do? They read and display web pages so that us as the users can interact with them. That's basically what web development is all about, right? So what I want you to understand is that websites are static, meaning you can, let's do an example, right? We all signed up for this course using a website, right? I believe that was cedarafrica.com. cedarafrica.com. Let's just wait for that to load. So what differentiates a website from a web app is the functionality. So I'll explain. A website typically consists of just static text like this that is showing you information. There's a heading here, there's a text here, and it's just information that you can read, you can understand. There's a button here, there's supposed to be a video here, I believe. There's a button here, you click. Okay, you see more information. Click here to apply. Then there's a form here. So that's basically what website is. The button here to scroll to the top and all that stuff. That's basically what website is. A website is a static web page that what it does is basically give you information, and it usually takes back information also from you, but it doesn't act or react based on that information that you're giving it. So if I come here and fill the form, nothing really changes on the page. Probably I'll just get a message saying, thank you for filling this form, or we'll be in touch with you shortly, that type of thing. That's a website, right? It's static. It's more of information, giving you information and receiving your information is a one-way data flow. But when we talk about web apps, we are referring to things like Facebook, YouTube. So for example, if 100 people come to this website, they all see the same thing. right? 100 people come here, they all see the same thing. But if 100 people come to YouTube, they all see different things. Why? That's because YouTube is a web application, and what differentiates it from web app is not from a website rather. It's not static. It's not the same thing. It changes. There's an algorithm behind it. It learns the user. The users have a profile. You can interact. Like there's a like button. There's a share button. If you see on this website, there's a YouTube video embedded here, and I can click to play it, and it plays. And what can I do? I can basically just do only a few things here.
Africa, a language and culture.
But if I go over to YouTube and I probably watch a video, let's see. Perfect. So if it loads now, you can see that I click on this and I don't just get only a few options. There's a lot going on. I can subscribe, and the system has saved that input that, oh, this person has subscribed. I can like the video. There's a lot to do, right? And the most important differentiating factor is that it doesn't just receive your information and stores it somewhere. No. Any little interaction, any information it receives, it uses that to perform a certain task that affects how the user interacts with the website. So in as much as you can also call YouTube a website, but what it is really, it is a web application, because it is an application that is based on the web. It's more than just a website. It is not just a static flow that consists of information. If someone comments now and I come back and refresh this video in 1 second, I will see the comment here. That's what differentiates it from a website. So that's basically a difference between websites and web applications. So going back to what we explained, under web development, we have websites and we have web applications. And what we are going to be learning how to do is how to create these websites and web applications. So typically, you might say, what's this of creating a website? If I can create something like YouTube, I can create a web app. You would realize that a lot of times, most businesses require websites, not web applications. Let's say, for example, I have a law firm. I do not want a web app for my law firm. I just want a website. Or let's say I have a laundry business. What I want is a website where people can see, okay, this is what I do. These are my prices. These are my available hours and all that. So most of the web is actually websites, not web applications. It's big infrastructure-based corporations or companies that have to do more of web applications. You have like Coursera, Udemy, YouTube. Most of those big name stuff are all web apps. But we'll be learning how to create all of them. I just want you to have an idea of what we'll be going into going forward. So now that we know what we are going to learn, we have to know how we are going to learn it. The tools we'll use, because that's the second most important thing. What are the tools that we are going to be using? Because we can't just wake up and type in Microsoft Word and expect a website to come out of it. No, we are going to be coding, right? Sure, we've heard the word coding, hear it a lot. We are going to be coding, we are going to be building, we are going to be solving problems. What is the tool that we are going to use to facilitate that, to make it happen? So there are two primary tools. I've already used one in this video, which is a web browser. The one I have here is Brave. What are web browsers? I explained it briefly before. Web browsers view web pages. They read HTML documents. They display web pages to us, the users. So both websites and web apps are all made up of web pages. So for example, now this is a web page. This is a web page. This is a web page. They are all made up of small web pages put together, linked together to form a big website or a big web app. So we're going to be using browsers to view our work. So let's say we've written so code. It is the browser that we'll use to see, okay, this is what it looks like. Because it's the browser that most people use to access the internet. When you want to quickly Google something, you don't go to your WhatsApp, you go to either Chrome or Safari or Brave or Firefox, any browser you prefer to use, and you Google it. That's why the browser is very important to us. I'll recommend that we get any three of these four browsers. That's Safari, Chrome, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Safari, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Mozilla Firefox. So if you can have any three of these web browsers, that would be great. And feel free, you can even have like 5, 6, 7. Awesome. Because think of it like this, you are going to be creating a website. And when you create a website, there's no telling which browser whoever accesses your website is going to use. Someone might be using Phoenix, UC browser, Opera Mini, Zen browser, Arc browser, Brave browser. So it's just so that you know what it looks like on every web view. Although Chrome has made it easy for us now, they've developed a system that almost every other browsers now use, like that's Chromium. But just to be on the safe side, it's good to like test across multiple browsers. But primarily, I'm going to be using Brave browser for the course of this program. So if you want the exact same thing, you can get Brave, but it's not really necessary because it's kind of using Chromium. So you can also use Chrome, Microsoft Edge, whatever browser you have available. But just get at least 3 of them. Because when we start coding, you start saying, oh, this looks different here, this looks different here, and you know how to work with all of them better. So going back, now that we know what to get, web browsers. So just go ahead and download them. It should not be hard. Either you go to your Play Store, because you'll be using your, I expect that we all have laptops, so we have plans to get one because you can code on phone, but then it's not really efficient and it's not advisable. So on your desktop, you can use Microsoft Store. If you're not a fan of Microsoft Store like me, you can easily just Google it, then download it directly from the company. So you can just Google Chrome, download Chrome for PC. And it's as easy as that. You get it on your laptop in minutes. So next of all, we are going to be using certain applications to write our code. And those applications that we use to write code are called text editors. Text editors. So we'll be using text editors. Text editors are what we use to write the code that will then display on the browser. So the text editors that we're going to be using, although there are many of them, there's Atom, there's Brackets, there's Notepad, Notepad++, there's Visual Studio Code, there's Sublime Text, there are just a lot. There's Programmer's Notepad. There are a lot of them, but I think it is agreed generally that the best one that we have currently is Visual Studio Code. That's the best one we have currently. And that's the primary one I would advise every one of us to get, Visual Studio Code. So if you can see my screen, this is what it looks like, just in case you are trying to download it. So that's easy as going to Google or your Microsoft Store is on there, just download it, have it ready. So this is Visual Studio Code, this is what it looks like. I don't want to open it now because I might start another thing. Then the other one that I want us to get is Sublime. Sublime Text, although the latest version is version 4 now, but I don't want to upgrade, so feel free to download the latest version though. Sublime Text, this is what it looks like. Get it. I prefer using Sublime Text while starting doing these simple things, just HTML here and there, because it's easier to like follow along. But then Visual Studio Code makes your development process faster. So the more bulkier it gets, the more advantage Visual Studio Code has, because it makes everything way easier than Sublime does. But Sublime is very sleek, minimalistic, and easy to follow along. So that's what I'll be starting with before we move into more complicated topics. Then I'll move over to Visual Studio Code. But get the both of them. And you can also get as much as you like, because when I was starting out, I got like 5 of them, and it helped me to like familiarize myself with a lot of them. I even started with Notepad primarily, and if you know what Notepad is, trust me, you don't want to do anything there. Notepad is just plain text. There's everything just black and white, and that's what I started with. But you don't have to start there anymore, thanks to technology. So yeah, that's basically the tools that we need to get started. So this is what Notepad looks like. Imagine writing code in this. Crazy. But what we need are these applications. Text editors, I said, get Visual Studio Code and Sublime. Notepad comes with every laptop, just in case you're wondering. Then for a web browser, you can go ahead and get Safari, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla Firefox, very important, very, very important. Chrome, very important. Safari, very important. Because these are the three main foundations for every other web browser. Every other web browser in some way or some form using the system that was created by these three top web browsers. So yeah, that's it. So moving forward, now that we know the tools we are going to be using, we know what we are going to be learning, there's one more thing I want us to talk about, and that is having the right mindset towards this whole program as you're starting. We hear the word programmers, tech guys, developers, coders. It gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of times, majorly even because of the movies we watch, you have a wrong impression of what it looks like. You just picture a guy on his laptop typing away, and you're like, what's going on here? I need to calm down. It's all a myth, right? That's not what programming is all about. That's not what coding is all about. The most important thing to know when you're starting out is that coding is all about solving problems. As a developer, whether it's software developer, mobile app developer, artificial intelligence developer, robotics guy, anything you do that has to do with coding and programming, your primary function is a problem solving. You are at basic level, you are a problem solver. That's just what you are. Coding is just the tool you use to solve problems. So you should start picturing yourself as such. Start thinking of yourself as such. How do you solve problems? By coding. So basically, that's what you do. You think of a problem and you figure out how to solve it using programming or using coding, or by coding or by programming. You get by building something. So programming languages are just what we are going to use to solve problems. A business might come to you, oh, we're a restaurant, we're just opening up and we really need a lot of sales. But we know that a lot of people don't really have the time, or because of our location, we'll be able to get people around here, but not people from a farther distance. So we want to have a website where people can come and place an order and we'll be able to deliver to them. They can pay online. That is a problem that a small business have. And you, as the programmer, have to solve that problem. So you have to think, how do I solve this problem? Then you go ahead and implement it using your laptop or whatever. You use code and you solve that problem.